To render our model in KeyShot, we're going to use the ZBrush to KeyShot bridge, which makes it a piece of cake to send your model over into KeyShot. So the way that works is it's a pretty simple process, as I mentioned. It's just you go to the render menu over here, and under external renderer, you check KeyShot. And I'm just leaving the options as the defaults. There aren't that many anyway. And that will send the model over. Now, one thing to take note of before we do that, and basically to do that is just we just press the BPR button. But before we do that, if you want to assign textures that you created onto the model and want to send the model over with its UVs, then you need to make sure you send it over with some sort of a texture on it. And here, you notice that I've applied texture 19 to the entire model except 2 parts. So I don't have UVs for the floor, so I didn't apply texture to it. And I don't really care about that because I'm just sending in the floor as a reference. And also this one piece over here, for some reason in the process, the UVs got removed. So I'm sending that as a non-UV object as well. But then I'll just apply a material to it in KeyShot because it's kind of hidden away anyway. So that will work fine. So again, this is a very important aspect, is make sure that if you want to apply textures to your model and you want to retain the UVs that it has, that you send it over with a texture on the model before you send it over. Otherwise, when you apply material in KeyShot, it's going to come up black. So once we've done this, we can just go ahead and click on BPR, and that will send the model over to KeyShot. Now, I've already done this, so we don't have to wait for the process, and here it is. So now we have the model loaded into KeyShot. And it looks exactly the way it did in ZBrush. All the parts are there, and we're ready to go ahead and start applying the materials that we created in Substance Painter. And to do that, we just go to the Tools menu, and here under Material Importer, we choose the Substance Painter set, so the SP extension. And that basically, we need to point to the folder that Substance Painter created for us, and it will bring all the Substance Painter materials or the textures that we created into there, and then we just assign it to the mech. The KeyShot Material Importer will bring your materials in and give you this dialog box, which basically will have all of your materials listed here. And one of the things is that when I exported this as one piece, it basically named everything one name. So I have to figure out which one of these materials belongs to which piece in here, which is a pretty simple process. I just have Substance Painter on in another window, and I can just reference it one at a time. It's not that many parts, so it's a pretty fast process. So to apply the material to your object, so I know that the first one, hull main 0, is the main hull here. So I just drag and drop it to that hull, and it applies the material. Now notice here that something already doesn't look right, which is that the material, remember we put some decals in the front and whatnot, and also it looks like the lines here are kind of a little bit off. And the reason for that is because the UVs need to be flipped, or the Y of the UV is different in ZBrush that is in KeyShot. So that's also a pretty simple thing to fix. So you just go to that material that we just imported, which is this one right here. And then under the textures, make sure that sync is on. So it synchronizes it with all the different textures. And then if you click on flip vertical, that fixes it for us. I think I did it twice, just once. And so here is the texture, and it's in exactly the way we brought it in. So we are good to go. And now what I need to do is just go through this entire list and assign all the different materials to the mech. So I'll do that off camera, so to speak. And then when we come back, we'll have all the materials assigned. And here we have it. So we have assigned all the different materials to the mech, and now we are looking at it in KeyShot and seeing what it looks like. So we are very close to being done here. what we need to do is find some sort of maybe ground, maybe from Quixel Megascans or something like that, and then figure out some sort of a background with an HDR file, and then we are good to go. But that basically is most of the process of what we need to do, and at this point all I need to do is do those two little things, and then come back and do the final render, after which we'll take it into Photoshop, do a little bit of color correction, and then present the mech as a composition. Here in KeyShot, we've added an HDR image. So this is just a HDR image that I got from, I think it was Pano Capture, and I think it's called Broken Road. So I'm actually using the HDRI image as the background. And then I have a few pins that I've added here. And usually for those, what I do is if I want to have some specular areas shine, I can just go ahead and click on this button over here, which basically allows me to place the highlight wherever I want. So here I'm going to place a highlight just to get a little bit of the shine coming in from the areas where I had some of this edge wear that the texture had. And also notice here that for the lights here, I've used an emissive material. So for those here under material, you can see that I have a few area lights, and I'm just using area lights and adjusting their brightness to fit the scene. And I also have a little bit of a prop area here that I got from Quixel Megascan. So I've got some cinder blocks. I'll probably put a person in here at some point as well, just to establish the scale. But somehow maybe these cinder block kind of road divider type things will establish that. So here in the environment, as I move my pen, notice that I need to refresh my background to get it to come back to be brighter. And then also, I don't want this background to be this visible. I want it to be a bit dimmer. So for that, I'm going to go ahead and turn on depth of field, and then choose a focus point, maybe somewhere in the middle of the mech, like so, over here. And that's basically done by just clicking on this point, and clicking somewhere on the model where you want to be your focus point. And then you can adjust the f-stop to adjust what is in focus and what is not. So here I'm going to figure out a good area where some of the stuff in the front is out of focus, and I probably would be a good idea to add another couple of things in the foreground to establish more of a foreground. But I think this looks good. I think the back is blurred enough. So at this point, I'm happy with this composition. And what I'll do here is I'll go to Scene, and I've got another composition here too, but I'll go ahead and add it as a model set. So here I'm just going to go ahead and add it as a model set and just call this one Scene 2, for lack of a more creative name. And now what that will do is it will create one of the scenes here. That will be scene number 2, and I can continue to do this and rotate around the mech. Let's go ahead and do that. Find maybe another composition, maybe something like this over here would be another composition. And I can go ahead and readjust the depth of field because we just moved around our model. So once again, I need to find a focus point, which I'm going to pick maybe there, and then adjust the f-stop again to make the background more blurry, but to bring our mech more to the foreground. So maybe something like this is good. And then also I need to adjust the environment. So again, I'm just using the HDR, but I'm also using some pin lights that I can move around. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this one and pick a target for it, maybe over here. And that will kind of make these specular areas shine a little bit more. And I think my field of view is still not accurate, so I'm going to do that one more time. Again, pick this point right here. Pick somewhere on the mech. That's good. I think the background is good. It's always good to refresh the HDR with the new update, and that will generate a new HDR image with the pin lights on it. And I think we have another composition here, so we can keep going and adding these compositions in. And And sooner or later, I think if we were going to get some sort of a approval for it, we can have a bunch of different images that we could use to get images from. So here, I'm going to call this one maybe scene 3. There's that. And of course, I can continue to go back and forth. I can choose maybe a scene like this. And notice I need to make the background and this prop area that I created blend together. But again, I could probably use some different prop areas. And there's plenty of amazing compositions for this mech. And the good thing about modeling like this is that you can make many compositions from this one model and be presenting it in different ways instead of just having one concept painting that modelers have to figure out how to make. All right, so maybe we can do one like this from the back of the mech, like so. Let's get more of the, here we go. Maybe something like that. And then again, we need to adjust the field of view. So one more time. Maybe this area over here would be our middle area, and then we can adjust the f-stop to get it to be just about where the horizon is over here, or kind of the horizon line. And then we also need to adjust these pin lights to have them bring the model out more. Maybe move some of these around to get some sort of a rim light from maybe up here. And maybe adjust this one as well. So I want to keep these lights maybe outside of the view of what I'm seeing here. But they are definitely lighting the model, adding a little bit more. And of course I can color these lights different colors too, just to get a little bit of color variation. So here I'm kind of liking this angle, but maybe tilt it down a bit more, like so. Here we go. I think this looks a little bit better. And then do that entire process again and again and again. So the good news is we have plenty of different renders to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and do a render and then tweak it a little bit in Photoshop, maybe add some lens flares, maybe do a little bit of color correction, and then we should be good to go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and remake this HDR background. And then to render it, it's just as simple as going into the render button over here and choosing your resolution. So here I'm choosing a 2K image. And then I also want to make sure I render these other passes like the diffuse lighting, shadow, ambient occlusion, reflection, clown pass. All of these are really good because, and a depth pass, of course, too. And all of these are really good because you can use these to composite in KeyShot, in Photoshop. All right, so with that done, I'm just going to go ahead and click on render and let the image render over here, which it's going to take a little bit of time. So in the meantime, we will go and finish this off in the next chapter, which is doing a little bit of touch-up in Photoshop.